All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan, and I'm the pastor here. It's good to be with you all this evening, you all in the house here, and you all online. Hey, big, huge welcome to Paradigm One. I know y'all are starting your free circle. Gino and Jess are in the house. You're going to hear from them later, but Paradigm One, we're glad y'all are gathered. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And for those of you gathered around the country, I know we have groups in Carolina and Washington and Arizona and Florida and we had more people reach out this week. New Mexico, Texas. So glad y'all are here. Listen, if you're new here this evening, Free is a place for addicts, loved ones of addicts and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. Welcome, welcome, welcome. A few things you might want to know about coming up. I'm going to turn my iPad down. Listen, can y'all see this book? Yeah, you can see it. Tattoos on the Heart by my boy Gregory Boyle. I act like I know him. I've never met him. Gregory Boyle. I highly, highly recommend this book, Tattoos on the Heart, The Power of Boundless Compassion. It's a book that is life-transforming, life-changing. You're going to love it. I think you will. I did. We're going to do a book study and discussion on this book. Me and Derek are leading this discussion. It's going to be 6 Wednesdays starting April 7th, and it'll end on May 12th, which is my anniversary. Derek, you might be taking that night. That's why you do co-leading. So it'll be 6 Wednesdays. Yes, we have decided we're going to do a merge with Zoom. For all of you who emailed and texted us and put a Facebook message on, we hear y'all. So we'll do a merging with Zoom. It'll be in person and Zoom. I was trying to be a bit resistant and say, no, we're only doing in person because I can't look at a screen anymore. But y'all persuaded me. You convinced me. Right, Derek?
That's right.
I tried to get Derek on my side, and he said, I think we should just open it up and let people join. So thank you, Derek, for opening my heart. Anyway, that's coming up. I want Derek, come on up. And Hallie, can you come up too? Now, you're going to hear more from Derek next week. Y'all know Derek, part of this community, and Hallie. Are we all on the screen here?
All on the screen.
Shoot, I don't need to be in.
You're good.
A new team is starting here. I can't wait for y'all to hear about this new team. I'm not even going to tell you about it tonight because you're going to hear about it next week.
I'm excited.
But tell them about the other team. So this is separate than a team we're starting here. There's a softball team that we're opening up. Tell them about it.
So Free is starting a softball team with the TSR League. That's a sober league that has all kind of AAs, NAs. They're all sober teams. They're all in recovery. So we decided to branch out and start a free team, which is exciting. And I couldn't have done it without her because she does all the details and writing stuff down, and I'm no good at that. So
Thank you, Hallie.
Thank you, Hallie. I'll let her tell you more about that. Fees and all that stuff. If you need emails, if you'd like to join, you want to come out and get connected, have some fun, some joy, share some love, and it's an opportunity to spread the message of this community, which is breaking the silence of addiction and just bringing hope to people's lives. And you can do that through softball. We can have some fun and be sober and be in recovery and do this. This is a great opportunity. So we got accepted already. Not sure on a team name yet, but we'll get there. And I'll let Hallie go ahead and tell you a little more about it.
So anyone that wants to join, TSRA, they've been amazing. Darren, he's wonderful. He helped us get into the league. As Derek said, it's a 12-step program for sober sports. They also do things like soccer. I think they have dodgeball, things like that as well. So they have a wide range, but we're starting our softball league. To join, it's $65 a person. 75 a person? Oh, 75 a person. And that includes, that'll cover your insurance, all the tournaments, gear, t-shirts, everything. So if you want to join, please reach out. And the season is starting in April. They're starting with the tournament on April. We're not going to be in the first one, but the 11th of April is when the season starts. So if you want to join, please reach out and we can get together and have a meeting and we'll go from there.
Just reach out to me on Facebook or Hallie. Message us with your emails and we'll send the information. and we'll do all that from there. But it's going to be a great thing. It's an awesome opportunity.
It is going to be awesome. And will y'all just go ahead and in the comments on this live feed, put your emails in?
We can do that.
Put your emails. Also, if you want to be part of the book study, thank you all. I can't wait to play some softball. It's going to be fun. If you want to be part of the book study and discussion, put a comment in a thread or send us an email. Send me an email, bethewagon@gmail.com. All right, y'all. Wagon Coffee has been killing it lately. The news stations have been out here. 9 News was out here a couple months ago. 7 News was out here last month. So we're going to show you all the little 7 News story that they did on Wagon Coffee a couple weeks ago. Here it is.
Alcohol abuse was an issue for many for long before the pandemic. In 2019, more than 25% of those 18 and older said they were binge drinking. The National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism expects that number to go up to 2021. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta tells us how one Coloradan is working to help those recovering from addiction through coffee.
From the outside looking in, Wagon Coffee seems like a bigger operation than it is.
We have this tiny little space, and it's just our safe space.
A safe space created by Tammy Camaday, whose husband struggled through addiction. After his recovery, she wanted to help others.
His service keeps us sober. So how can I give back? How can I show up? How can I serve?
She chose one group in particular, women in recovery.
I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. So I got sober in 2016, and so I've been sober about 4 years.
Kavita is one of 2 women who roast, bag, and scoop coffee for Wagon Coffee. She's been here since the start back in October, busy with beans.
They're a part of my sobriety. This is a part of my sobriety.
But it's about more than just making coffee for her. She credits the process with helping to keep her from relapsing.
I have been on the fringes for decades, and to be able to be in a place where I'm loved, I'm wanted, I'm embraced, I'm sought out. That's a gift that I never got before.
An opportunity Tammy hopes to be able to extend to other women in recovery soon. Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Yes! Tammy is in the house. Kavita is in the house. Kavita, you just killed it up there. So, really, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for the work y'all do in this space and helping so many people out. Hey, listen, if you haven't downloaded the app yet, the free app for free, you can go to the App Store, download the app. It's how we're trying to stay connected in this community, keep information updated. So if you consider yourself part of this community or you're interested in this community, I encourage you to download the app. You can go to any place where you get apps. Go to your App Store on your phone and download the app. It's free. Free spiritual community. All right, y'all, the way we start in this community is by celebrating. We don't ignore the hard stuff. We don't ignore the heavy stuff, but we just don't start with it. We start with the good stuff, the celebrations in our life. So I want you to take a couple of minutes, give us the good stuff in the comments. If you're here in person, you can also just say what you're celebrating. We'll talk more in just a minute. Let's give the online crowd a chance to jump in. But take 3 minutes, give us the good stuff. Sobriety anniversaries, babies being born, jobs happening, nice weather happening. We're not closed down because of a snowstorm. Whatever the good stuff is, we want to celebrate with you. And I say it all the time, y'all. Something powerful happens, something profound happens when like 1,000 people are celebrating with you, and God hears these celebrations. God celebrates with us. So take 3 minutes, give us the good stuff, and we'll be right back.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run towards the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure. We are are all looking for adventure. We 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 are all looking for And I'm living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. Living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. I'm living free, living free.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Tammy is here joining me to celebrate with y'all. I think we got to scoot over. No, there we go. There we go.
This one.
All right, so we just want to celebrate with them. This camera? Did we have some online? We were celebrating so hard here in person, we didn't even see any online comments. So we'll read them together for the first time on the screen. Shall we? Some of them?
Hey, Molly Ann. She says, my sister had a safe delivery of her new son, Little Heart Miles.
All right, Molly, thanks for sharing that with us. Molly, I know you also got some good news. You shared it on your Facebook page about some things happening in your life. I won't mention it because I don't think it's private, but you can put it in the comments if it's not private. Congratulations on it, though, by the way. All right, let's do another one. Jill says 9 months sober. Way to go, Jill.
Awesome, Jill. Woo.
We just had someone in the house celebrating 11 months sober today. So cool. 9 months, 11 months.
Lots of sobriety in the house. I love it. Elizabeth says, my car finally got fixed, and Maddie is speaking to me, and my mom is being amazing. Life is great.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you for sharing with us, celebrating that with you. Jessica said, hi, Jess. And
Hey,
Reed
Jess.
just says, we got vaccinated. Congratulations, Norwoods. We're glad you're vaccinated. Come
Hope to
hang
see
out
you
with
soon.
us.
Yeah. Spring says wrap, family wrap. Dan and Cindy.
Dan and Cindy
Hey,
Rapp
y'all.
say spring. We need to
take it.
celebrate spring,
Well,
kind of.
we'll celebrate it today. I think more snow's on the way.
Y'all did hear what's happening tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of another winter storm warning. That's all right. It's Colorado in March. This happens.
It's March.
This happens. Thank you, Raps, for celebrating that together as a community. Is this yours or mine?
This is you.
This is me.
MJ.
Monty says Preemie Arlo is home and now 7 pounds, and brother Cole's 3 tumor has not gotten bigger.
Okay.
Thanks for the prayers, continued prayers for the
Absolutely.
family. Monty, thank you for sharing that with this community, celebrating that with you.
Yep.
Yeah, we can clap. We should clap after these celebrations.
Y'all can hear that over on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
yeah? Andrew says, hey, Lori. She says, so proud of my sister. Out of rehab weeks. She is demonstrating all she's learned about communicating her feelings in a positive and meaningful manner. She is an inspiration. Good stuff. Thanks, Lori.
Celebrating that stuff. Let's do 1 or 2 more, shall we, Drew? All right. Terry says, I had vision of a new ministry idea.
Cool.
Terry, be sharing that stuff with us, man. We
go.
want to hear it.
Yeah, welcome, Terry.
And I know you've been tuning in. I can't remember where you're from. I entered your email address today, like manually. So, and you told me where you were from, and I'm blanking on where you're from, but I know you tune in each week. Terry, good to have you here. Glad you're part of this community, celebrating this new idea you're having. All right, let's do one more.
Good stuff. One more. Hey, Ricky.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah, Ricky said, had a great week. Got some very exciting news that I've been praying for. I feel this will be a huge next step in my recovery. Love y'all. I know you and Ryan connected this week,
Yeah.
so that's cool
Yeah.
stuff, and we're glad to have you part of this.
Ricky,
community.
I'm gonna just say what we're celebrating. Ricky, I hope this is okay. Ricky contacted a few of us here. Ricky lives down in Texas, small town in Texas. I'm blanking on the name of it, but in May he's going to be flying up here.
Yeah.
He says how much this community has meant to him. He wants to meet some of y'all, so he and his wife are flying up here in May to spend a weekend here. So y'all be nice to him when he comes in here. Don't be
Good
creepy,
news.
all right?
Don't be creepy.
Ricky, I can't wait to connect with you. He's going to share some of his story with us. He wrote a letter to his addiction. It's beautiful. Ricky, can't wait to meet you in person, man. It's going to be good. You and your wife.
See you later.
Thank you, Tammy. Y'all, it's so good to celebrate with you each and every week, to be able to celebrate the good things happening in life. We are starting a new series here at Free. It's a short series. It's only going to be 2 weeks, because then we have this little thing called Easter, where we're going to celebrate the heck out of resurrection and new life, because who doesn't need that? But this series, when it comes to your recovery, when it comes to your spiritual growth, when it comes to you being fully human, what are some of the things you need to let go of? What are some of the things that are preventing you from being the person God created you to be? So we're calling this one Letting Go. You know, it's fascinating to me that whenever we start talking about perfectionism, people are like, oh, no, that's not me. I don't battle that stuff. Oh, you should see my apartment, then you would believe me on this. I don't battle perfection. It's a mess. But whenever we start talking about shame, people are like, oh, yeah, I know what that's like. I know what shame feels like. I know that feeling. Been there, done that. And listen, y'all do know shame is always the birthplace of perfection. So, it was about 7 years ago now. In fact, it was March of 2014. Me and a buddy of mine, we were out in Point Loma, California, Southern California. Anyone been there, Point Loma? Yeah, see, we were in Point Loma, California, and we were there for a midweek conference. And the thing is, the following Sunday, I was preaching at the church back home here in Denver, where I was a pastor. And so I said to my buddy, Jared, who was with me, I said, Jared, here's what we should do. Right after this session, come outside with me and let's shoot just a little 2-minute video. 2 minutes. By the way, if you haven't been to Point Loma, there's a picture of it on your screen. Point Loma, the college we were at anyway, sits on these cliffs and it overlooks the ocean. It is absolutely stunning. So I said, look, I want to do a little preview video for the congregation back home of what's to come. And we can do this little 2.5 minute video. Then I'll send it to the church office manager and they can send it out to the congregation. It'd be great. And we'll be back. We were on a little break. We'll be back for the next session. We won't miss anything. It'll just take a few minutes. So we go out to the cliffs. I hand him my phone. He hits record. We do the first take. I didn't really like it. It wasn't good. I stumbled over my words, so you hit delete. We did another take and got about halfway through. Man, I didn't like that one either. I wasn't feeling my mojo. Then we did about a dozen more takes, and we got to the end, and I was like, man, I don't like this one either, and you hit delete. Y'all, we probably did this about 24 times for a 2.5 minute video. And the only reason today that we have a final copy of this video is because my boy Jared said, dude, my arm is hurting. I can't hold your phone up anymore. Can we just use the last take? It was good enough. To which I'm thinking to myself, no, man, you don't get it. This is one of my first videos that I've done for the congregation. They need to see the best side of me. This thing needs to be perfect. And what I didn't voice to him at the time was this kind of thinking. If it's not perfect, if they see Ryan's flaws and stumbling over his words, well, they may not like me. If this thing isn't perfect, if they don't see Ryan's perfection, well, then they may not want me as their pastor. So this thing has to be perfect. It's some stinking thinking, isn't it? How many of y'all have been addicted to the chase of perfection? Yeah. Also in my past life, I was a campus minister at the University of Denver. going back over 10 years ago now. And I'll never forget a conversation I was having with one of my students when he was telling me about his relationship with his dad. He was always tied up in knots over his dad. And he said no matter what he did, he was never good enough in the eyes of his father. Like growing up in sports, he was never good enough in basketball. Academically in high school, he was never good enough, even though he made it into DU. And on this day, what really had him tied up in knots was he just got off the phone with his dad, and his dad wanted him to be an accountant like he was. And he didn't want to be an accountant. He was one of those creative types. He wanted to graduate and then go out into the world and create art and explore. And I said, dude, just tell your dad what's up. Just tell him you don't want to be an accountant. Tell him it's not for you. You want to do something else. He said, no. Ryan, you don't understand. If I tell my dad no on this, his perfect comes crashing down. And see, maybe growing up for you, it was always about pleasing someone. Maybe it was about pleasing a parent. Or maybe somewhere along in your life, you bought into the narrative that what people wanted from you, what people demanded from you was perfection. Or maybe you're still living with that and your whole life has been about this pressure that you've lived with. And you feel like you're going to explode, this pressure to perform. Or maybe you have kids now and you are unintentionally passing this way of thinking, this way of living down to your kids. And y'all, I got to be honest with you here. Scripture can be a little intimidating on this one. Because there's a line in the New Testament, we're going to get to it in just a few minutes, but there's a line where Jesus says, be perfect just as God is perfect. I mean, talk about pressure. Come on, Jesus. Why you got to drop that on us? You'll know when, by the time I got into college and seminary, my drinking career really started to take off. Many of you know the story of my drinking career really started to take off right after my brother died. It was my first semester in college. I was 18, almost 19. He was 22. Active alcoholic and addict, got clean and sober, relapsed, died in that relapse in a car accident. And my drinking career just took off. And so what I thought I could do was just cover up all this shame with religion and religious studies. And so I remember in about midway through college, I learned that I loved ideas. I loved reading. I loved writing. And I did not excel in high school. Y'all, I was like less than excelling in high school. And in college, I learned that I loved ideas. I loved to communicate ideas. And by the time I got to seminary, I bought into the thinking that I could cover up this shame by wowing you with my words. Just wait till you hear me talk about God. Wait till I can perfect this 10-page paper or this 20-page paper. Give me enough Adderall and enough booze so I can stay up all night long, and I will perfect this thing, and then I'll turn it in, and you will be impressed with my words and how I talk about God. Never mind how I live. That's not important. And my performance showed the perfection. The grades showed the perfection. The performance showed it. But what I learned was my perfectionism is always trying to cover up my shame. Y'all know what I mean by that? Using your I'm going to do this so well so you never see who I really am. I'm going to show up to appointments early so I can prove to you that I can still do this life even as a drunk, even as a user. You know, it's been interesting over the last couple months. Tammy and I have had several really cool opportunities to spread the mission of Free and Wagon Coffee, to spread the mission of breaking the silence of addiction and creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. Being in a prominent magazine and being interviewed by different people and being on several podcasts. And it's been this kind of experience where it just fills you with gratitude. And you sit back and you say, gratitude, thank you. But you know what I've noticed? When I meet people for the first time, people that don't know me, they're really interested in how it was that I was an active alcoholic and also a pastor at the same time. How'd you do that, Ryan? Tell me logistically, how does that work? And I always tell people there's nothing really sexy about my story. It wasn't like, man, I was a drunk and then I found God and I got sober and now I'm a pastor. No, I was a drunk pastor. And I always tell people I hated myself. I was miserable. I created a lot of chaos in the relationships around me. I was filled with shame, that kind of shame where you hope no one ever really knows who you are. And people ask me, so did you just not believe in God at the time? Did you believe that God wasn't with you? I mean, where was God in all this? And the truth is, y'all, yes, I believed in God. Yes, I believed that God's love and grace was unconditional. The problem is, I just believed it was for all of you, but not for me. And see what I had to learn again, my perfectionism always tries to cover up my shame. And let's talk just for a moment about you being content. Because look, if you are striving to be perfect, my guess is you're not content. I was talking with a good friend of mine just this week. We were texting one another, and we got into the conversation about contentment versus complacency, and they are very different. You see, because when I'm content, I'm at peace with myself. I'm at peace with God. I'm at peace with relationships in the world around me. It doesn't mean things are perfect, but I'm content with them. I'm at peace. And it doesn't mean I'm complacent. It doesn't mean we just sit back and do nothing. No, I was saying to my friend, no, I still want to do things professionally and personally. I still have dreams and aspirations in my life. Contentment is different than complacency. But y'all see, when I'm healthy, I ask the question, how can I improve? How can I do better? When I'm stuck chasing perfect, I ask the question, what are they going to think about me? What are they going to think of me? And you know, even here at Free, on my best weeks, when I come here on a Saturday night and I prepare a message, on my best weeks, I'm asking, how can I most effectively communicate to my people, the people that I love? And how can I pay attention to what God is doing in Ryan's life and the themes that keep coming up? How can I pay attention? On my not best weeks, it's, man, how can I wow them? How can I get them to like me? How can I get y'all's approval? How can I get you guys to think I'm good enough? How can I show them that I know something about Scripture and God and theology and spirituality and recovery? How can I impress them? And y'all look, perfectionism is always rooted in self-centeredness. And don't get it confused. Perfectionism is not the same as striving to be your best. Perfectionism is not about healthy achievement and growth. And perfectionism is not about self-improvement and wanting to do a good job. But listen, at its core, perfectionism always tells me if I please you, if I can perform well for you, if I can come across as perfect, then maybe I can get your approval. And for some of y'all, that approval, that need for approval is killing you, isn't it? Because how many of you are still trying to get approval from a parent or a boss or a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, approval from the 12-step community that you've been going to for a few months now? You know, one of my favorite authors says it this way. Perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a shield. Perfectionism is a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us, when in fact it's the thing that's really preventing us from taking flight. Why? Because I know the pain of shame and abandonment and rejection. I can handle a lot of things, but not rejection. I will go to great lengths to avoid that stuff. And see, I will protect myself with perfect. And guess what was always hanging around when perfect wasn't good enough? the bottle, the drug will always be there. Take away the fear. Take away the discomfort. And by the way, addicts, alcoholics, loved ones of addicts and alcoholics, we perfected perfect, didn't we? We know how to do that. Because if I can be perfect, then you can't hurt me. Do you all know those people that they can't ever own their past? They can't ever own their mistakes. They can't ever admit their wrongs. Because if I can come across as perfect, if I can be perfect, then you can't hurt me. And perfectionism, it's this disease of selfishness. Because it will always try to convince you to put perfect before people, to put perfect before everything. How many of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about? Company's coming over tomorrow night. The doorbell rings. All of a sudden, everyone's scrambling around because everything's got to be perfect, right? You are sticking things in a dryer that you never thought you'd put in a dryer. You're putting things in the oven that don't belong in the oven because everything's got to be perfect. We got to make everything look as if it's all good, it's tidy, it's clean. We laugh because it's true, isn't it? There's a beautiful story. Let me close with this. A beautiful story in Luke's gospel comes from Luke chapter 10. And it's about Jesus, because y'all didn't think we were going to get out of here without talking a little bit about Jesus, right? It's about Jesus, and he's going into someone's house. And the thing about Jesus that I love is he's always seeing what's just beneath the surface. He's scratching at those things, and he's seeing what others can't see. Check this out. It's only 5 verses. While Jesus and his disciples were traveling, Jesus entered a village where a woman named Martha welcomed him as a guest. She had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his message. By contrast, Martha was preoccupied with getting everything ready for their meal. So Martha came to him and said, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to prepare the table all by myself? Tell her to help me." In other words, Lord, won't you tell this sister of mine to buy into the idea of perfection just like I have? Jesus' response, Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. One thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the better part. It won't be taken away from her. Man, I don't know about y'all, but I think God just gets so exhausted with our addiction to perfection. And I think Jesus is saying here, Martha, don't you get it yet? Relationships are the most important thing in life. It is not about how things look on the outside. I mean, how many of us need to hear this message? I mean, how many of us have missed the most real and authentic relationships because we were too busy perfecting perfect? And Jesus is like, yo, just stop. Just sit down for a minute. Don't miss the things that are most important in life. And you say, wait a minute, Ryan. What about that Jesus guy? Because at the beginning you said, didn't he say that we should be perfect just as God is perfect? And y'all, he did say that. Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. It's one verse. You'll hear people quote it. Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. And you know what drives me absolutely bananas? When people, and you'll see people do this all the time, they'll quote one verse and they'll try to build a whole life on it. They'll try to build whole ideas around one verse, and it hurts people. I mean, think of the communities that have been harmed by this thinking, starting with the gay community. You take one verse and say, see, that's what Jesus says. No. Look at what happens right before this scripture. I mean, we got to put it in context, right? Look at what happens surrounding the scripture. Look at what happens just after this scripture. The whole thing, this comes from what's called the Sermon on the Mount. It's Matthew chapters 5, 6, and 7. The Sermon on the Mount. We talked about that sermon here. Jesus is giving a sermon. The whole thing is about love. The whole thing is about loving your enemies, loving people who are different from you. It isn't about being perfect in performance. It's about being perfected in love. Check this out. The Greek word for perfect is this word teleos. And it literally means to be made complete. That God is making you complete. Not perfect in performance, but complete, whole. Your perfectionism will always lie to you. It will always tell you you're never going to amount to anything. You're not good enough. You're never going to measure up as a father, as a son, as a mom, as a daughter, a friend, a mentor, a spouse, whatever it is. You're never going to be good enough. And what does perfectionism say? It says you need to perform your way out of this because you are not complete. You see, my brothers and sisters, you do not have to be perfect. And I get it, some of y'all have stayed away from God because you're so worried about things being so clean and tidy that you've stayed away from God. And I think God's like, yo, I just want to be with you. Man, I don't care how messy it is. I just want to be involved in your life. And some of y'all have held God at an arm's distance. Because you say, man, I could never be good enough for you. And you look around the room, sometimes you say, man, he's got it down so spiritually awesome, and she's got it down spiritually awesome. And then there's me who's just a hot mess. And again, I think God's like, just stop. You're enough. I created you. You are complete. And for those of you new in recovery, maybe you've looked around and you say, man, I could never do this. It's too intense. It's too much. Someone handed you a big book and you're like, man, I don't know what to do with this. Or you read the 12 steps on the wall and it's like, that's too much. It's too intense. I don't know if I can do it. I want to encourage you, take a big, deep breath. Invite the God of the universe in. Let God draw near to you. And before you go to bed, if you have a big book, read page 60. Because it gives us this beautiful reminder after all of the 12 steps. There's a line in there. Do you know it? We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Aren't you glad they added that line? Read it tonight, page 60. You see, y'all, you're perfect. It's not wanted by God. And I want to say to you as the pastor here at Free, your perfect isn't wanted here either. We don't want your perfect. We want you, the real you, because the real you is enough, just like you want the real me. You don't want me to come up and just act like I have it all together. You don't also want to just hear 20-year-old battles. I still struggle with some of the same things y'all struggle with today. And I'm enough. And you're enough. Because God is making us complete. So I want you all to take just a few seconds, 60 seconds to be exact, and engage these questions. Is the pursuit of perfection robbing you of being complete? Is perfectionism keeping you from an authentic relationship with God and other people? And then I want to invite you to do the most simple prayer. Hear God. 2 words. Y'all can remember that, right? Hear God. You take it. Take 60 seconds. All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a moment to reflect. I know 60 seconds goes by quickly, And for some of us, these questions we need to reflect on throughout the week. So go back to that place in the live stream and hit pause if you need to throughout the week. But look, I want to introduce you to our guest storyteller. If you're new with us, we have a guest storyteller every single week in the house that comes and shares with us some of their experience, some of their strengths, some of their hope. And I want to introduce you all to my boy Gino. Gino is in the house. Gino is a buddy of mine. But a few things you want to know about Gino before he comes up and shares some of his story around perfection and the striving for perfect. Gino started Hazelbrook Sober Living Houses. He runs those, so founder and, I don't know, what do you call it, director? Just founder of Hazelbrook Sober Living. He also started a new recovery center here in Aurora. The grand opening is coming up next month. Jess, she's the chair of the board of directors. She's going to share about that after Gino. I have the privilege of being on the board of directors. Thank you for that opportunity. I love what's happening at Paradigm One. It's what it's called. Go to their Facebook page, Instagram page, Paradigm One. It's one word, paradigm1.com, is it? .org. That's the website. Go like them, hit them up, see what they're up to. Y'all are going to love it. But I want you to hear Gino's story. So help me welcome Gino. So we got Gino in the house with us. Gino, glad you're here, dude.
What's up, man?
You know what else is cool? Gino has, does he need a mic? Yeah, we need to get you a mic. We want to actually hear what you say. Thank you, D. Paradigm One that I just mentioned, and I mentioned them at the beginning. There's a whole host of people meeting there, drinking coffee, tuning in the live stream.
Yeah,
so
what's up, everybody at Paradigm? How y'all doing? Hey,
It's
that was
good to have you
some heat you just dropped, man. That was deep for sure.
Well, speaking of heat, you know what else I didn't say about Gino? He's going to tell us more about this. Gino's a professional MMA fighter.
Yep.
So we're not going to get into it tonight, right? I mean, you and me. You're going to get into it,
Oh,
but
no,
I'm not going to get into it. He does cage fighting. Like, he's a serious dude. So in fact, he's got a big fight. His debut fight is coming up Saturday, a week from today.
Yeah, I'm making my professional debut actually next Saturday, the 27th. Super
Good luck, dude. We can tune in on a live stream, right?
Yeah. If you guys want to check it out, it's spartasc.com. You can get tickets. You can even go live. It's in Cheyenne, so not too far away. But yeah, you can check it out. Use my last name as the promo code Shvedov.
Shvedov. Gino's Russian, if you didn't catch that yet. The Russian concussion is what they call them. All right, so I want to jump into this, Gino. And we're going to get back to your cage fighting because it's part of the story.
Yeah.
But clean and sober for about 5 years.
Coming up on 5 years.
Coming up on 5 years. I want people to know just a little bit about, we don't want to hang out here all night, but what was it like for you? We need to hear the story of what was addiction, where did it bring you?
Yeah, man, it was bad. I'm going to give you a couple peeks into it, man. So my first time I ever used or drank, I think I was about like 11 or 12, and my dad had like a bar downstairs. Then I had some stuff happen. I went down there and just started drinking. I remember seeing how the adults would drink. They would just take shots. So I just was taking shots, and first time I ever drank, I got so drunk I wandered outside and ended up passed out in a gutter. And I'm like 11 or 12 years old, literally almost died. Luckily, somebody called an ambulance. One of the neighbors called an ambulance, and
You were a gutter drunk at 12?
yeah.
Not many of us can say that.
Literally, that was my first time ever drinking. I ended up almost dead in the gutter, and they had to take me to the hospital. I was inches away from dying, and you'd think that would be enough for me to never drink again, but that was just the beginning of everything. One of my darkest, most just worst moments in my addiction was probably like 6-7 years ago or something like that. I was in prison already, and It was like my 4th time going to prison, and I had actually managed to like sneak a bunch of drugs into prison with me.
Some people in this community know something about that.
Yeah,
One's in the
yeah.
front row. Not pointing him out or anything.
So
but-
I had like a large quantity of drugs in prison with me, and ended up, you know, getting caught with them. I was so high that I just completely lost my mind, and I was at DRDC and got caught, you know, with these drugs, and the guards ran up in my cell, and long story short, you know, they threw me in what was called like a dry cell. And the whole point of this cell was really, it was a cell that was just open, like it was glass. It was open in glass. It didn't have any toilet in there, no bed, nothing. It was just a concrete cell. And there was a guard watching me 24 hours a day. I was in there for like 6 days. And mind you, I had been high for like months straight here. So some of you guys can relate to, you know, that come down. I was doing some hard drugs. Got caught with a bunch of meth, and so you guys can relate to kind of what that come down was like. And I was in there for like 6 days, and the whole point of this cell was for them to literally watch me use the bathroom and wait until I took a shit, basically, and go through that to make sure there was no more drugs in there. So it was a pretty bad situation. I think the only like worst situation was probably for the guy whose job it was to go through that and to see that's, but
Yeah.
it was pretty miserable. Like I was handcuffed the whole time, and I had to sit there for like 6 days. Like they would wake me up every hour because they had to check my vitals, and it was just miserable, lonely. After that, you know, they threw me in the hole for like 2 months, which is solitary confinement. So the isolation was very real, not only physically, literally, but, you know, spiritually.
Yeah, and I want to hit on that for a minute, because some people are thinking, wait a minute, man, I was using, I was an active alcoholic, whatever it was. I was doing meth, and I didn't go to prison. I didn't have some dude watching me for 24 hours a day, 6 days, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So I can't resonate. But I want to say to y'all, did addiction not take everything from you, starting with your dignity? So what you're talking about is isolation, your dignity was taken. You don't have to go to a literal prison to have those things taken from you,
Yeah.
to give those things up.
I can't, like, that was definitely no dignity in that situation, sitting there watching another person watching you use the bathroom like that on camera. Like, it was pretty humiliating for sure, pretty low. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, like, how am I going to tell my parents about this? You know, they spent so much, you know, just invested so much in me, like tried to help me, try to, you know, send me to school, all this stuff, wanted me to succeed. And here I'm about to tell them that I'm probably going to get like 10 years in prison for this. And I, you know, like that just kept crossing my mind. And it was pretty bad. It was definitely
So it
pretty
takes
bad.
relationships too.
Yeah.
So Gino, the name of this series is Letting Go, and I want people to hear some from you of what are the things you had to let go of to get sober, clean, and still to this day, because it's not like it's a one and done deal.
Right.
Y'all in recovery know this, right? We don't just let it go, then we're done with it. What are the things you still have to let go of to stay healthy?
For sure. So the turning point came when I let go of a few things. The first most important thing was letting go of the belief that this life and this world was about me and glorifying myself. And I think the only way that that's possible is through a relationship with Jesus Christ and letting him live through me, in me. And the other thing that led to, you know, where I'm at today and the things that I'm able to do today was letting go of the belief that I had to be like this, some kind of like special or perfect, you know, perfect person in order to do something meaningful or impactful for God, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And tell us a little bit, so, and I know we only have limited time, so your story is way more complex than what 20 minutes can do.
Yeah.
But now that you're doing all these things in life, positive things, I mean, Gino's giving back. Y'all, the more you get to know him, you'll see this is true. You're giving back to community and to people. You're being a productive member in society in big ways, starting sober living houses, starting Paradigm One. A fighter. Tell us about that.
Yeah, man. You kind of touched on those things. So getting out of prison, you know, there was a situation that happened where I had the opportunity to, you know, help another individual and reach out and It was an individual, and it, like, just me reaching out to them and helping them, it made them change their life, and I was kind of like just blown away and hooked to that feeling, and I was like, man, this is better than any drug I've ever done, and so I wanted to help people, and so we started Hazelbrook Sober Living. Today, you know, we're very successful, very thriving sober living organization. Sober living and recovery. We do more than just sober living now. We have eight houses, men, women, in the Colorado area. Do a lot of amazing stuff. Paradigm One, we just so we've been doing that for like 4 years now, and Paradigm One is a new nonprofit that we just opened up. You know all about it. Obviously, you're on the board, but it was just a way for us to reach more people in the recovery community, and just offer things that I know have helped me. For example, like mixed martial arts, fitness. That's one of the things we offer there. We have an amazing art program that's ran by one of the guys there.
You walk in and graffiti all over the walls. I love it.
It's sick. Yeah, we had a really cool graffiti artist paint the mural on the back. We have an art program where people in recovery actually come and use art as like a way to express themselves and talk about recovery and just express themselves. We have a music recovery program going on where people play musical instruments, like they have like drums, guitar. We got a DJ booth. We got an amazing yoga program. Actually, the yoga instructor's here, Amy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
You're the
she's
yoga
our,
instructor?
yeah, Amy's the yoga
Oh
instructor.
my goodness, how did we miss this?
Yeah, it all comes together. But if there's anything I missed, but
So I want you to talk about that, because then I want to have Jess come up real quick and tell us about the grand opening at Paradigm One coming up, because I want everyone to go.
Yeah.
But tell us, one, in just a couple minutes, how you have to let go of perfectionism, the idea of chasing perfect in the ring, in the cage. And I want to hear just in a couple of sentences.
Yeah,
This is a hard question.
for sure.
How do you describe your relationship with God now?
For sure. Well, so the reason I said all those things was not to like really talk about what we have going on, but to just to say that if I held on to that idea that I needed to be perfect in order to do something, that none of these things would be possible. Like if God could use an imperfect person like me who is strung out on drugs, a convict, all these things to do everything I'm doing now, like it just goes to show that God doesn't need you to be perfect. In the cage, man, like next Saturday, I'm stepping in the cage, making my pro debut, and everything you were just saying in that message, it just rang so true, because like it's so relevant. That's why I love fighting so much, because it has so many spiritual parallels. Like I know, like I'm not afraid of getting hit. I'm not afraid of getting choked out. I'm not afraid of getting knocked out. Like these are things that I've been through and have happened to me a million times. The reason why it's so scary getting in a cage is because you have all these people watching you, and like the pressure's on, and now you want to be perfect, and that's what causes that like anxiety and fear, and like you're so just it's such a crazy experience getting in a cage, and I think that's why, like it's because of that perfectionism.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy, because I was just telling you about this, like we had talked about this, and I was doing an interview yesterday with one of the promoters, and he asks me, he goes, hey, what's your perfect outcome for this fight on Saturday? What does that look like? What's your perfect outcome? And I was like, man, that's so crazy, because I'm actually going to be talking about this tomorrow, and there is no perfect outcome. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to do my best. I'm going to have an opponent who's going to be trying to, prevent everything I'm doing from happening. But, so.
I'm guessing when blood is dripping from your lips and your cheeks and your eyes, whatever, that reminds you you're a bit imperfect, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're going to keep all your teeth, though.
Yeah.
No broken bones, hopefully.
No, I'm hoping to get a quick finish. But yeah, so my relationship with God and perfectionism. Sorry, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but
No, this is good, man. Tell us about. Give us a couple sentences on your relationship with God.
So I think everybody that knows me knows that I'm far from perfect. You know, my team that I work with, you know, they're amazing people. They're always making fun of me. Like, I have so many flaws, so many things that, you know, I'm just me, you know, like I do all kinds of things weird and wrong, but I do my best and it works. You know, I mean, we do amazing things in all different areas of life, you know, and I'm not perfect, and that's okay.
But you said earlier, and I want people to hear this, that God uses people like Gino who aren't perfect, people like me, people like you, and if you're sitting thinking, no, Pastor, you don't understand my past. Well, look at this dude's past. He was in a prison cell doing drugs and sneaking drugs and having someone watch him go to the bathroom. I mean, I say that because we don't just do storytelling here for the sake of you getting to share your story. We do it to give people out there barely hanging on, wondering, is there any hope? I mean, is there any hope? Yes, God uses your hopelessness. God uses you. God wants to draw near to you. You don't have to be perfect, but you do got to surrender a little bit.
For sure. 100%.
Gino, I'm glad you're here, dude. If you guys have questions for Gino and you're on YouTube or Facebook or YouTube, you can type them in the comments. Gino, will you interact with people tonight?
Yeah,
on the comments?
For sure. Just tell me how to do it.
All right. Yeah, like you've never been on social media. Come on. I'll tell you how to do it. I'll give you a training session. But I want Jess to come up really quick. Jess is the board of directors of Paradigm One. Jess, can you come tell us what's happening? In fact, you can just have my seat. Why don't you have my seat? Give us a little word.
All right, so I just want to say 1 second.
Oh, wait, you need a
celebrate.
mic. There you go.
Just 1 second to celebrate
There you go.
Paradigm One. That's what I want to celebrate tonight.
Yes,
come up
we'll
and stand
celebrate
up.
that with you.
Yes, and say thank you to everyone at Paradigm One who's watching tonight. What's up, guys? So we have our grand opening on April 24th. Our doors are already open. We will welcome you in now. However, the big to-do, media, trying to bring everyone in and see what we've got going on. People that have no idea that we're there, we want them to come. Anyone in the recovery community, media, like I said, we are a nonprofit too, so looking for, of course, donors and people that might have silent auction items, anything like that. So please come check it out. Gino said a little bit about it. We have a boxing ring, so we are really big on fitness, wanted to bring fitness and recovery together. We have a space for yoga, Miss Amy. We have music recovery, art recovery, doing peer coaching services. We have a lot going on there and really just want to reach as many people as possible. So we would love to have you guys come by.
And remind us, April 24th is...
April 24th is a Saturday.
Saturday. And what
Yes.
time is the event?
It is from 11 to 3. Thank you for reminding me.
11 to
Details.
3, so we're all going to go hang out there. And then we're going to come here, because y'all wouldn't want to miss Saturday night here.
That's
So
right.
we're going to go hang out at
DJ.
Paradigm, then come to Free.
That's right. We have a DJ, we have food, we have drinks, we have all that good stuff. So
Awesome.
come by. Awesome.
Thank you, Jess. So grateful for the work both of you are doing in this community. And say another thing.
So we love free here. We're hosting free circles at Paradigm One every Saturday. For anyone that's more in like the Aurora area and wants to fellowship and come together and watch the amazing messages Pastor Ryan has here, you can come through. It's the same time as it is here. Just some live fellowship going on. And then if you want to find Paradigm One, just go to paradigm1.org. Our Sober Living's hazelbrooksoberliving.com. If you guys want to follow me, my Instagram's Russian Concussion MMA, or Facebook Gino Shvedov. So thank you guys for letting me share, and thank you, Pastor Ryan.
Thank you, Gino. Love you, brother. Glad you're here, dude.
Yeah.
All right. You can, you know what? I'll just hold on to that. Actually, D will take it. Peyton will take it. Thank you, Peyton. Thank you, Gino. Man, I just love hearing. Yeah, you're good. You can take off. I love hearing every week here what's happening in the lives. What happens to us when we enter into recovery, when we start doing the internal work and inviting God in, and how our lives can change, how we can actually, you know what I notice every week? I'll just say it. The people with like the most trauma, the people who have been the lowest, they also are the ones that are most amazing at bringing the most hope in the world. So thank you all. I love this community. Thank you for letting me be a part of this community. Y'all are awesome. So the way we end here at Free is just like we do with celebrations. We end with heartaches, because what I know is every single week we carry around these burdens that y'all weren't made to carry, and we try to do it alone, and we hope no one knows we're carrying this burden alone. We pray for you throughout the week. We have a prayer team on site led by Jason. Jason, throw your hand in the air like you just don't care. Jason leads his prayer team. Peyton's on this prayer team. Others of you in this room are on this prayer team. We pray for you all throughout the week. We try to connect with you. We send texts. We connect with you on Facebook or email just to check in, just to let you know you are truly loved and cared about, that you're not forgotten. You're worthy. You're enough. But in order for us to know that, in order for this community to lift you up in prayer, well, you have to get vulnerable. I know it sucks, doesn't it? You got to get vulnerable and put those heartaches in the comments, or if you're here in person, to actually say those heartaches. But I promise you, there's nothing too little, there's nothing too big, and there's likely nothing that's going to shock this community. So take a couple of minutes, get vulnerable. I know it can seem kind of creepy at first. You're like, man, should I type this? Yeah, go ahead and type it, because you're going to find a lot of love and support in this room and on this online community. Type it in. And get vulnerable, and we'll see you in just 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. I always forget. We'll see you soon. Amy, thanks for sharing that with us. Prayers for your kids and your 7-year-old specifically. All right, guys, we're back. And again, we were heartaching it up in this room, so we didn't read any online comments yet, but there's plenty of heartache and things to lift up right here. But we want to do it with y'all too. So, Tim, you want to start? Why am I lower than you?
You weigh more.
Nah. Yeah, no shame. That ain't right.
No shame.
Because you're fatter than me. All right.
All right, Andrew, here we go. Elizabeth. My sister has been gone for 10 years this July, and knowing it coming up and her killer gets to walk free is rough. Woo. That's heavy stuff.
Prayers for you and the sister. 10 years this July. All right. Thanks for sharing that with us, Elizabeth. MJ. Prayers from my friend Barb, who is fighting with workman's comp to get surgery. Systems do not always work. She's in deep pain. MJ, thanks for lifting up your friend Barb. We're lifting her up with you. Prayers for Barb. And yeah, systems don't always work, do they?
And Christy says, prayers for my friend and her kids who unexpectedly lost their husband and father. Prayer for God's peace and comfort. Prayers come in your way and your friend's way.
Yeah. Doug. What up, Doug?
Hey, Doug.
Doug says, just diagnosed bipolar 2. A lot of doubting everything I thought I knew. Doug, thanks for sharing that with this community. Sacred, holy stuff there. Thank you. Prayers for you.
And Jen says, prayers for the female, how do you say that? Bull Mastiff.
Kavita, how
We
do
are
you- did we say it right?
Kavita? Where are you when I need you? We are trying to rescue. Keep her safe and warm tonight. Thanks, Jen.
Prayers for, that's a dog, right? Yes. Yeah. Prayers for that dog.
All the doggies today.
All right. Jason says, thanks for your prayers. Let me know if you. Oh, Lori says, 11 years on. On April 2nd. 4/2, yes. I lost my beautiful boy to suicide. My heart is hurting. Lori, many of y'all know Laura. She's come here and shared her story. She also gives a lot of people hope. Thank you for the work you do, Lori, and prayers for you coming up on another hard and sacred day. Glad you're part of this community.
Yep.
Prayers for you. And listen, y'all, if you have more prayers, you can keep them coming in. You can keep them rolling throughout the week. We do check this thread throughout the week. And so if you didn't get a chance to put your prayer in, or if we didn't get a chance to read it, we're a little over on time, but it's only 8:07. Who were you asking me earlier what time we ended? Someone was asking me. Sometimes we end by 8, but sometimes we get to really going, and I say 8:15 by the latest.
8:15. It's always
Since we've been in COVID, it's been... Okay, we're just going to go with 8:15, so that means we're going to end early tonight. But thank you, Tam, for being with me.
Thank you.
Can we give Tammy a round of applause for just being here every single Saturday night and doing her thing? And thank you for the great coffee. It's going to be another Saturday evening where I do not sleep. Well, because it's like self-discipline, and me and coffee don't get along real well. But I want to tell you all, one of the reasons we do Heartaches, celebrations, storytelling, why we do what we do here is because we are the wagon together. You'll always hear us talk about be the wagon together. It's a central image in this community. If you want to know the deeper story of the wagon, go to freespiritualcommunity.com, and the story of why the wagon is a central image in this community is there. I'm going to tell that story next week. It's been too long. But on the wagon, we have a donation box. We have donation boxes scattered throughout this free premises, whatever, on the property. And I say it all the time, and I mean it. It's why I say it all the time. Your generous giving is what keeps this community thriving. It's what keeps the mission of breaking the silence of addiction thriving. If you call this place home, we encourage you to give and to give generously. And I want to remind you, there are, outside of these donation boxes, there's 3 ways to give in this community. The first way is to download the app that I was talking about. It's free, the free app, and you can give there weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, however you want to do it. The second way is to go to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com, and you can give there safe, simple, and secure, or text the number on your screen, text Be the Wagon. Y'all, it helps sustain the mission of free, breaking the silence of addiction, creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And I say it every week, and I'll say this again too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know for many of you, it is a spiritual practice to give, and it truly makes a difference here. We don't say that out of guilt and shame. We say it because it's true and it makes a difference. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So glad you're part of this community. So glad we get to do this work together. And can we close in a very simple prayer? And like we often do, I just want to invite you to open your hands. Opening your palms is a sign of openness. It's a sign of being open for what God has created you for, who you are in the eyes of God, and what God has for you and what God is calling you to. And let's go out with the serenity prayer. Find some quiet in your heart, quiet in your space, And if you don't know the Serenity Prayer, the words are on the screen. Let's pray these words together. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. And to you, my free brothers and sisters, this week, may you remember God is making you complete. I hope you find all kinds of rest in that. I hope you find all kinds of grace and peace in that. And may you experience grace and peace along the way this week. Much love. We'll see you next week.